seconds. 20 seconds, Father.
Welcome to Radio Maria. You got the full benefit there of the joy of love. Those 6 minutes are the most useful 6 minutes ever. Get myself organised here. Good morning, welcome to Radio Maria Ireland, and nice to have your company. Wave and shout out on Facebook and YouTube too. And good morning, Roisin.
Good morning, Father. Good morning, all.
Good to have you with us now here as well. You brought in an absolute lorry load of scones this morning.
Absolutely, yeah. So the people who are coming, Father, they're wonderful people, and so they like to have a cup of tea and a scone. You know, they deserve it.
They do, especially those keeping all night vigil.
Yes, they're fantastic. My gosh, they're so really brave, Father.
If anyone hasn't heard of the news yet, or aware of the fact that we're having perpetual adoration here, or continuous adoration for now. Started last Wednesday, so we've 3 days completed. Thanks be to God, of 24-hour adoration, and we hope to continue for 40 days altogether. So one of the bonuses, you can have a cup of tea and a scone, one of Roisin scones in the morning, just to pep you up, or during the night time maybe too, if you're here. So do please, if you would like to participate in that, do please let us know ahead of time so that we don't crowd out the building with visitors. We always do like to have people come indeed participate in it, but just a phone call ahead of time to know when you're coming, and indeed if we can slot you into a particular space in the timetable, that would be very helpful as well. So if anybody wants to get in touch, Roisin,
you can text or WhatsApp at 089 467 2000, email info@radiomaria.ie, or telephone 014 123456. Then again, you can write to Radio Maria Ireland, Unit 8, St Anthony's Business Park, Ballymount Road, Dublin 22.
Very good. There are all the ways and means.
Wonderful,
so by all means. And the bus number 53 will take you from the city out to the Red Cow Hotel, or the Lewis as well will drop you out at the Red Cow Hotel. A little bit of a walk from there, about 8-10 minutes walk along the middle of the Naas Dual carriageway on the footpath. Pedestrian path, and up over the bridge back around the hotel, and around the side of the hotel you'll find the radio studio. So hopefully it's not driving rain if you get off the Lewis to come and walk the distance here. Some people get a taxi over. But we met the lovely three ladies, three sisters.
Oh, they were wonderful, yes.
The Barrow, the Nore and the Shore.
Yeah.
You ever heard that in school?
Came all over.
The three rivers there, the Barrow, the Nore and the Shore, the three sisters. Three sisters, Bernadette and Susan and Gertrude all came the other morning and spent some time in adoration here and treated themselves as well, and were very kind indeed. So a lovely visit there during the week. So and helped us out with the adoration too. So it's really nice to meet people coming in from north and south and east and west. There's a couple from the north, I think, there with us last night. The ladies were from Mayo and from Cork and from Galway.
Yeah, they were from all over.
So scattered far and wide. So delighted with that. So do please let us know. Do please get in touch. Give a call on the phone right now as well. Thomas is waiting downstairs, and Catherine are manning and womaning the phones today. Again, 014 123456. Please give a ring here. Indeed, for that purpose or any other, likewise, feedback or prayer intention too. So we do love to hear from you. So thanks be to God, the adoration indeed is a great blessing. 40 days for faith and for life.
Beautiful.
So now, we got another statue added to our little growing crowd of statues in the building because John brought in a lovely statue of St. Peter, a small little one, to remind us of loyalty to the Holy Father and the Pope as part of our adoration journey. And gentleman Darren Murphy was in this morning, brought in the statue of St. Martin de Porres.
Oh,
so he's standing next to Padre Pio on the mixing desk there. He's a kind of a smaller height. I should bring him in and show him on the camera.
I see him there now. I see the back of him.
Small little fellow. We'll show him to you maybe a bit later on. But they're having a Mass on the 3rd of October in St. Saviour's Church in Dominic Street, remembering all who've died during the time of COVID. Not necessarily of COVID or related to COVID, but all who were unable to mourn maybe sufficiently or the way they would like to, the loved ones who passed away. So Darren was chatting to us about that. And he's the man behind the moving crib as well, apparently.
Wonderful.
He's the man who winds up the statues and gets them all moving. The way they're little in Parnell Square in Dublin. So it's always a nice thing. People coming up from the country do their shopping, pop in to visit the moving crib.
Yes.
Children love to see it too. So that was a nice little visit and a chat earlier on as well. Now we're travelling down to Fermoy tonight and tomorrow, yet another Whirligig tour and visiting another parish indeed. So looking forward to that. We've had quite a few parishes chalked up already this month.
Yes.
Roisin, even though Sarah has now moved on, we're hoping to fill her shoes certainly. But we've been to Littleton in Tipperary. We've been to Wexford. We have been to Middleton in East Cork, to Blarney, which is north of the city,
beautiful.
to Charleville as well, and tonight to Fermoy. So
that's fantastic.
travelling
Father.
around
Yes.
Munster. Yep, it's
Fantastic.
pretty full on. What do they call that in the secular radios when they go on the road? They have a name for that too. The road, not a road studio, or anyway. We're out on the road, and we're just meeting and greeting very simply, saying the few words about Radio Maria at the local parish, with the permission, of course, of the parish priest, and helping at the masses, and just meeting and greeting people on the way in and on the way out of church, to hand them some of our literature and introduce them, if they need introducing, to Radio Maria. It's a very simple thing to do. So Noreen was in touch. Hopefully we'll have a parish in the Diocese of Derry. That's coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So we're heading northwards again.
Wonderful.
And I know John is anxious to move northeast as well. That's more or less northwest, I suppose.
Yes. So
we're looking forward to that trip as well up north. Thanks to Noreen for helping to organise that too. So there's no constant stop, as they say. No constant stop. We're going all the time.
Fantastic.
So it's great. And we need to kind of get back into the rhythm of Dublin parishes of a Wednesday.
Praise God, yes.
With time we'll keep that momentum going as well, with God's help. I was going to chat a little bit. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these, Roisin. Do you ever get a gift of this mass card? Do you ever see those?
They're very magnificent, Father.
They're very colourful and very religious looking.
Absolutely beautiful.
And they just the
medal
printing
and everything, or the Eucharist there. No, Father, it's wonderful.
They're printed all over us. They're very attractive mass cards.
Where are they from, Father?
This is what I want to chat about, because there's a little difficulty with these,
Oh.
and my trouble with these is that they exploit the faith really with a view to making money. These are what we would call pre-signed mass cards that are sometimes on sale in shops that people get, and they do it with the very best of intentions, and it's very well received. And just thank you to the person who sent this in to us. Very grateful, of course, because we know the sentiment behind it. But here's the difficulty with these. They're very attractive. They're like commercially produced mass cards, and there's a signature printed in there, and the signature I see on this one says Father Charles Gustav. It doesn't tell me what country he's in, it doesn't tell me what diocese he belongs to, and so I have no idea. So if I go in and I buy one of these pre-signed mass cards in a commercial shop, I as far as I know, they do or they don't take the name of the person making the offering. And here's the catch, here's the snag. In the first instance, when it comes to taking mass intentions and stipends for masses, a priest is never allowed to charge for a mass. No. That you cannot put a price.
It's an offering.
Correct. It's always and ever a mass offering. And so it's at the discretion of the person who is offering the mass. And if they simply can't afford it, then they can't afford it, and the priest will still celebrate mass. There's no difficulty there. This, however, is a commercial transaction. And so it robs the sacredness of the mass, really. And the question is left, a lot of questions left, in fact. The person selling these does so for a profit. They do it to make money. A priest simply receives an offering because it helps for his upkeep. You know, he buys dinner for the day, or he puts a gallon of petrol in the car, or whatever it is. It's only ever, more often than not, just a nominal offering, just to help the priest survive. But this is a commercial transaction, so they print this very attractive-looking card, and they put them up for sale. Now, this is illegal in the state, and it's illegal in the eyes of the church to sell mass cards, but they've pre-signed mass cards, but they found their own little clever ways around them. So what I'm advocating and suggesting to our dear listeners and friends is do not subscribe ever to these, and I'll explain why a little bit more, because you'll see on the inside there, Roisin, see where it says the holy sacrifice of the Mass will be offered to include the intention of. Now, that's so ambiguous. The Holy Mass the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass will be offered to include the intention of. So straight away, if it is that you wanted to get a Mass offered for a deceased person or for a friend or whatever, this will not be an individual Mass offered for an individual intention, because it's to include the intention of. How many intentions, if they do, will be included in the Mass that they're saying is being offered by the priest they say is a priest? You just don't know. Could be 5,000 of these included in the intention of. Now, Aidan gave me a little insight on this yesterday. He said he used to work in a shop where they sold these.
Right.
And behind the counter, when people came in, they wanted a Mass said for somebody who had died, he'd write the name into whatever book they had.
Right.
So that he'd take the intention. But the person who used to buy and sell these cards would just come in and collect the money and walk out, and not take the intention, no interest in what intentions are written down.
Oh, that's
so this was Aidan's experience. The other problem that's been with some of these is that the signature of the priest was followed through and investigated in some instances, and he was found to be either dead or non-existent. It was completely made up.
My goodness.
Excuse me. So this name here, I have no idea who the man is or what diocese he's in. I'd love to speak to him.
Absolutely.
Ask, has he given his permission? I'd be interested to also speak to his bishop and find out what is the arrangement here exactly. Excuse me. And then ask, well, what intentions has he received and how is he exactly offering them?
Yes.
So in the law of the church, what's called the Code of Canon Law, there are very strict precepts as to how priests receive offerings and how they offer masses for individuals in that way. And there is no way a priest can take, this is one of the laws of the church, can take more than one offering per day. So if it is that 100 of these are bunched together, the priest is only permitted to take one offering for the Mass. So this compromises the priest straight away. It's so you can see it's a bit of a scam. It's a bit of a scam. You just don't know how this is unfolding.
That's amazing.
Now, on the back, and they've had to print this because I'm sure they've got into legal trouble with it. It looks very holy and very pious and very...
It does. There's lots of lovely pictures in it.
There is. And again, I'm not taking away from the good people who do buy these, and they do so with every good intent. It's the commercial end of it that I have the difficulty with, and what I'm saying is just don't go near, avoid these things like the plague. So here is, it says, published, excuse me, there's my friendly frog, apologies. Published and printed in Ireland for MCC Group and assignees. And these people have been taken to task before on this. I think they're in Longford, and they published these, and again, they're up for sale. It's a marketing exercise, okay? And in the small print it says, the sale and distribution of this card is not on behalf of any charity. So there's no, they're not benefiting. It's commercial. It's commercial. There is in black and white. There is no relation between the sale price or quantity sold of these cards to the offering made.
Gosh.
There's no relation to the sale price or the quantity sold and the offering made. In other words, they're giving them a complete get-out clause that we will give whatever we feel we think to the priest that's
I.e.
apparently his name is
priest.
here. Yeah, but that could be anybody. So it's on the card itself. While again the intentions of those who buy them is sincere.
They probably don't know,
They
Father.
don't know. This is why I'm talking about it today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
This is a scam with a capital S. They're commercializing trafficking in mass offerings. And in the code of the church, a priest is under serious reprimand, discipline, if what they say in the code is even a semblance of trafficking in mass intentions.
Oh, gosh.
Even sort of sniffs of it, that he's selling masses. So it makes it a little bit sensitive, when it comes to those religious orders who do this. But again, I in those cases, I certainly give all the benefit of the doubt. In this case, where you see them for sale, pre-signed mass cards, you see them in post offices sometimes too. Just don't subscribe to these, because effectively what you're doing is depriving the priest of his income and giving it to this commercial business, and the priest isn't availing of the income that he needs, because we're pretty much on a minimum wage, or they're close enough to. We're not exactly on a huge wage, so we depend on mass intentions. But furthermore, and again, if people think it's sour grapes on my part, it certainly isn't. Nothing of the kind. It's rather that the offering that you make for the intention that you make it is that justice is done there.
Yes.
It's a legal transaction in the end, and that proper justice is done. So there's a problem there. If this is so ambiguous, you have absolutely no idea. And here's the extra layer to it then as well, is that many of the mass stipends that I would get over and above what I'd be physically able to offer, it's only 365 days in the year,
Yes.
I would send the entire stipend, the entire offering with that intention off to an organisation like Aid to the Church in Need.
Oh, yes.
And they then would send the entire offering and the mass intention, the name, to priests in places like India, in Latin America, Africa, where a €10 offering would be massive.
Wonderful for
them. And I remember giving mass intentions to Bishop Crowley. Bishop Crowley is a priest from Cork, who is Bishop of Kitale in western Kenya.
Yeah.
And he asked me one time he came home from Mass, and I said, no, but I'll give you some Mass intentions that I just had accumulated. And he said, see this €10 that you give for each of these Masses? What I do with that, I receive that into my diocesan office. I give €5 to the priest. And because we don't have any social welfare or sick benefits or any of these things, the other €5 I will put into a fund which supports sick priests or retired priests. And so that €5 will go on an awful long way in Kenya.
Yes.
And it's doing a double service. And priests in India will report back to Aid to the Church in Need and say, well, the mass intention they receive, it goes not just for themselves, but to buy medicines for their people and food. It supports their mission.
Yeah.
So this carry-on, these signed mass cards, is reprehensible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it's wrong. I remember writing a letter some years back, 10 more years ago, to the Irish Catholic, and just to when these were kind of taking hold, and they put it on the front page of the paper. I was like, "Don't you hold that make to the front page?" But it's right, because just reading the reason I kind of got hot and bothered about this now is when it came in again. Just thank you very much to the person who sent it, and I know what they intended to do. But just when I saw the small print on there, this thing where it says, the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass will be offered to include the intention of, like how many others in there. And then on the back, they just have the nerve even to print this. There's no relation between the sale price or quantity sold of these cards to the offering made. And it's like saying, well, basically we're going to steal from the priest.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me. That rattles my cage.
Gosh.
And robbing the church of rightful support.
Yes.
Not me. It's not sour grapes for me. I'm completely sort of indifferent, in a good sense, in relation to mass stipends. If people want to give a stipend, fine. If they don't, that's fine. I'm not being done out of business, as it were.
No.
But I feel for those priests who are being deprived. And indeed, the flow of sacramental grace, again, is just been turned into a commercial transaction. And that's simply against the law of the Church. So, the bottom line is, if you see these very, religious looking and very ornate and very, nicely printed, over the top at times, really, that there's so much on
There's
that.
3 or 4 different things on
all
them,
kinds
yes.
of things
Yes.
in there. Do not subscribe to these. Just do not subscribe to them.
And what type of shops would they be in, Father?
Any and every shop.
People mightn't realise what's going on,
I mean, Macroom, I think every parish I've been in, I remember Macroom, there was a shop, or at least 2, I think, shops that actually sold these. And, I sort of made a note. I think I approached shopkeepers to say, I see them in post offices as well sometimes. Always ask. And if in doubt, don't, be very, very slow, I would say. By all means, go to Knock Shrine. Go to your local Franciscans or Dominicans, or, if you're in the bigger towns. And they will have mass cards. And then that it will be dealt with.
It's a genuine one.
Accordingly, yes, correctly. So now, sorry about getting on the soapbox a little bit today, but that got me animated.
Yes, I'm glad you told us, Father, because I think a lot of people don't know that.
They don't realise, They don't realise.
No.
And I might just say, if I can add to it, because I've spoken about this some time back before, is that those extra mass intentions that I received over the years, I think I've given away to Aid to the Church in Need and other, like Bishop Massey Crowley, something of the order of €100,000 worth of mass stipends.
Wonderful.
Have gone to the missions.
Go to proper places.
Correct, because I physically can't have the number of days in the year to offer them all. And that's going back to 23 years of my priesthood, really, because I keep a very careful record of every single one I receive. And you see the book in the sacristy downstairs, all of that is keeping an accurate record of who and when and how much and all of that.
Yes.
And the bishop can ask to look at that book anytime he wants and says, show me your records.
Yeah.
And they're all there. I have a double record because I also have to declare it to the taxman as income. So being self-employed, all that's necessary and that's important. Whereas this, like I say, is just a commercial transaction that's exploiting the goodness of people and depriving the Church and the mission of the Church as well. So it
and
gets
people,
me.
God love them, people were thinking they've had masses offered for something that's really bothering them, and it's not happening.
And you're left with these 2 things. It'll be a mass be offered to include the intention of. So if you wanted a specific mass, according to this, you'll be thrown in with any other number of masses, and then there's no bearing on how much the offering goes to this priest, who I don't know, Father Charles Gustav.
Genuine or what?
Who is he? Haven't a notion.
Yes.
So no accountability, whatever. Like Aidan said in his case, if anybody else knows has experience of this too, he said, look, they diligently wrote the intentions down, but the guy who came in to collect the money, not
didn't bother taking them.
Not interested. So no follow through.
Gosh.
So
wow, that's very interesting, Father. Thank you for telling us that.
Rattle my cage big time because it's just so unjust.
It's very unfair too for the poor people who are requesting masses for the different intentions.
Correct.
Really.
And in all sincerity, and Irish people, good Irish faithful people, are so committed to their faith and are very generous when it comes to having mass. It's a traditional thing for many. So to see it being just milked in that way. And that's why there is a law. There's a state law that these things are not permitted, and they've managed to find whatever loophole around it here. So the best we can do is to just advise people and say, look, don't go there. So maybe text us an email. You might have any further little queries, or if you have experiences on this too as well, please do let us know.
Yes.
So
the numbers, there will text or WhatsApp 089 467 2000, email info@radiomaria.ie, phone 014123456. That is really I'm delighted you've told us about that, Father, because it's really sad.
And if you come across them, make a note of it, because they're not that uncommon around. I've seen them in car shops.
But people wouldn't be, so they would think it's genuine.
And I wonder, I wouldn't have the time to go around to all the shop owners and explain it to them. And would they even be interested in knowing? Because again, they're interested in commercial gain from it. And they might look on me as a priest knocking on the door saying, well, look, bah humbug, his market is being tapped into, and he doesn't want his market share to be.
Oh, no.
And give me a break. That would annoy me even more.
I know.
It's grace we're talking about. It's the life of faith, and it's undermining the faith, in fact, too. Good. We have a little piece of music lined up, so do please get in touch with us. Do please share. If you're watching back or listening back, drop a comment on the social media too, or by all means, indeed, exchange your thoughts and ideas on it. You may have more to add to the conversation there. So, music from Robert Sohu, I presume H-U-W, I presume that's an Oriental name. It's not,
Welsh.
It's a Welsh name. Okay, Robert Sohu. He's performing on the Irish wire strung harp. So, Andrew has a hand in this by Paul Dooley. So, do enjoy this lovely musical break. Thank you, Andrew. And we'll be back very shortly. Wasn't it a lovely
Beautiful.
piece of music there? We're being cultured here somewhat in Radio Maria. Thanks to Andrew for
he's fantastic, young lad.
With us. And could you play that on the harp yourself, I wonder, Andrew? Would that be something you'd be game for?
I'd have to grow the nails out and get the wire strung harp out, but yeah, give us a few months.
Good.
Gold-plated strings like
grow the nails and practice. Yes, for sure.
Makes for perfect.
It does. So thank you indeed, Andrew, for that lovely. It has beautiful traditional harp music there for you. So good. Thanks to all indeed who are just sharing on our Facebook page. I don't know if you saw that, Roisin, as well. We just put live video online of the adoration going on in the chapel.
Yes, Father, yes.
And Aidan is a very smart user of social media and just left a little message if anybody wants to add their prayer intentions
to it
as a message on Facebook. Beautiful. So it's lovely to scroll back through those and see those prayer intentions. So be assured indeed we're noting all of those and we're lifting you up to the Lord again and ask Him to bless you. So thanks for that. We please God do a little bit more. We set ourselves the target or the plan of going Facebook Live with the camera here from 3 to 4 each day, just for the Divine Mercy Hour, and just turning the camera on And Deacon Don, of course, was live saying the prayers on Thursday. So just so that you can join in the adoration with us as well. Be very welcome to do that, So now today is St. Finbar.
Yes, you'll have to tell us about St. Finbar, Father.
Tell me, do you know?
Well, I've heard the name, Father.
What diocese, what part of the country?
Would he be from Cork now?
He'd be from Cork. He would, of course. He was the original Cork accent. Patron of Cork is right. So Cork and Ross would be the diocese, of course. Although I think Sfogna is Ross, and Finbar is Cork, and Coleman, of course, then is Cloyne. And that's all of Cork County. It's just such a massive county there, really. So he's patron of Cork and of Barra in the Outer Hebrides.
Wow.
So Finbar, the way it's shortened to Barry.
Yes,
Barry, so
right.
Barra in Outer Hebrides. Of the clan of Ivrin Raha from West Connacht. So he was born in Lisnacahara in County Cork, not sure exactly where that is. His father was a metal worker who married a slave girl, and Finbar studied under Bishop MacQuirp at Achad Durbcan. Achad Durbcan is Macroom. I never heard that.
Right.
And Macrumma is the Irish for Macroom, I know that, but I'm not sure Achad Durbcan is. Okay, well, I'm learning all the time. Anyway, Macroom, of course, is mid Cork. Later, he became a hermit at Lake Gugan Barra. Have you ever been to Gugan Barra?
No, Father.
Of course, Barra, again, Finbar,
Yes.
Gugan. It's a very popular place for weddings.
Oh.
There's a small little chapel on the shore of the lake, and then you're surrounded with mountains and little forests. And it's really picturesque, and it's just a lovely, quaint. And you wouldn't fit more than comfortably maybe 10 or 15 in the little chapel, 20 max. It's very, very small.
I think that wouldn't work nowadays, Father.
And I have memories. I've done a few weddings there myself, and I have memories of a lady who came in, and it was a wintertime wedding, and she came dressed for the height of summer, and the poor thing was frozen. The cold November wind blowing across the lake, and she had goosebumps on her goosebumps.
Oh, God love her.
She was frozen with
She
the cold.
survived anyway, Father, didn't
So
she?
you'd think the husband would throw some kind of a sleeping bag or something over it, The poor thing. But it is a lovely venue because it's just so suited to photographs and everything,
Beautiful.
and so steeped in religious history, of course, as well.
History, lovely.
So Gugan Barra there. So he established a little monastery there, and the ruin of the monastery is still there as well.
Yeah.
And the little rooms they weren't even rooms at all, little alcoves in the sides of the walls are there where the monks used to bed down for the night. And it's no more than, the length of a person and the half the height, but it's only 3 or 4 feet high.
Oh my God, you have
And
to
sort of
crawl in and crawl out.
Yeah, kind of an arched stone. And I presume they were their cells,
Oh, right,
They sort of
yes.
knelt a lot of the time. But
My God.
it looks anything but comfortable. So pretty disciplined monastic life. So he established a monastery anyway, and a famous school there, and was famous for education and that. And he's patron saint there of University College Cork, where Finbar taught. It says is their motto: "Let Munster learn."
Oh,
Remember
wonderful.
that? So his name is still remembered. And the big cathedral in Cork City, the Protestant cathedral, is St. Finbar's Cathedral, and it's a very impressive building and a popular venue sometimes too for concerts and things. Still going strong, not far from the college. So traditionally around the year 600 when he was consecrated bishop, and the year of his death isn't quite known. It could be anywhere from 610 to 630, they just don't know. But his following was founded on his reputation as a teacher and a saint, and was quite a local following rather than an international one. There was no disciples from overseas that lay claim to St. Finbar. Unlike St. Patrick, I suppose his name is on buildings and parishes all over the place.
Yes.
So his patronage of Barra in the Outer Hebrides, is it? It came a little bit later, and probably due to the journeys by men of Cork rather than by Finbar himself. So, excuse me. So although Cork is his burial place, the real centre of his following, and even today, is the monastery, the ruin really, at Guggaunbarra. So a lovely place to visit, and they have Mass there around this time of year, I think, as well.
Beautiful.
Regularly to remember St. Finbarr. So that's it. We should be doing a kind of a tour ourselves now that we're up and about and out and around.
You're wonderful, Father.
Of all this great, the litany you pray there at lunchtime, Roisin.
Yes.
Would you have it off by heart by now?
No, Father. All the Irish saints.
And
there's 3 St. Coleman's, Father.
There is, and can you remember where the 3 of them are from?
No, but it doesn't.
Tricky.
Don't you have to tell me, Father? Now.
Yeah, well, Klein is always the first one.
Right.
There's another Coleman from Dromore, I think, down in Connor. He's a different Coleman.
Right.
A different one. And I think the third Coleman is Kilmacdua, which would be Galway direction. Right. But 3 different Colemans. Yeah. And it's confusing when you sing Coleman, pray for us, and then you have it again.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. People might be thinking, gosh, is she making mistakes?
That's right, she's lost her place on the list. But I'm glad we've introduced that litany of the Irish saints at lunchtime, just so that people hear, by dint of repetition, the names of
their history,
litany, and will reflect on them. And on the list here, it's written on it, but we don't say it, is where each of them is from.
Yes,
and you get a small little bit of where the connection is. And of course, all these great saints of old, they're sort of legendary saints. None of them are canonized as such.
Yes.
They've not been officially recognized by the Church.
Oh gosh, I didn't know that, Father.
No, not even St. Patrick. I mean, the one canonized saint that we can probably see the first of officially would be St. Oliver Plunkett.
All right.
But the others by acclaim or by repute or just
history.
The local church has said, they were up there. But there was no formal investigation into their cause. There was no miracles worked necessarily or proven through there, because they just go back so far.
Yes.
So it's
there wasn't any computers and things in those days, Father.
No, and at this stage of play, to be unlikely to find anything negative about them.
No,
because they're and much of what survives around them is quite steeped in legend. Like St. Bridget and her cloak.
Yes.
It may be true. I wasn't there, but it could be
she
true.
Spread it around.
So the other great saints, they did legendary things that seem physically impossible, but it's attributed to them. I mean, driving out snakes out of Ireland.
Yeah.
Again,
well, there's no snakes in Ireland now.
So, yeah.
I know, it's wonderful, Father. The history is there,
It is. We have a deep, deep-rooted Christianity in Ireland, and there's simply no escaping it.
No.
Even though some people in this generation are quite happy to ditch the whole lot.
Yeah, well, it's so sad, Father, because there's so many things out there on their mind. They don't realise worrying about things like that are not going to help anything. Just give it all over to the hands of God, and He helps you. Everybody, He helps everybody.
And like that, look to the saints, and they might teach us a little thing or two about the troubles they had in their day.
Absolutely, and they had really hard troubles, Father.
And check out the little cells where they lived down in Guggaunbarra. There's no central heating, I can tell you that. No microwaves. We've got it so easy in some respects. So we're still called to be saints and still called to join that litany.
Oh yes,
get our names on that list too, with God's help.
It makes so much easier life, so much easier, Father, if you hand it over into God's hands.
Amen to that. A good note to finish on as we approach 12 o'clock. So thank you, Roisin. Thanks everybody on social media. Do please stay with us if you're listening in now too. We're going to pause and pray our Angelus and midday prayer.